You are looking at a bottle of water, not detergent. Water, dyed blue, poured into a plastic jug and sold back to you for $25. Now, my friends, before you tell me I've finally spent too much time around wash tubs and clotheslines, I want you to do something. Walk over to your washing machine. Pick up that bottle sitting beside it. Feel how heavy it is. Go ahead. I'll wait. That weight you're holding, most of it isn't cleaning power. Most of it is water. Water that came out of somebody's faucet. Water that was poured into a plastic bottle. Water that was shipped across the country. Water that was advertised on television. Water that was given a fancy name and then sold back to you for more money than it ever should have cost. The strange thing is that I never questioned it. Not for years. You see, I wasn't born Amish. I married into an Amish family, and before I married my wife, I thought laundry detergent was just one of those things people bought, like toothpaste, like light bulbs, like salt. You needed it, so you bought it. End of story. Then one evening I carried a $25 bottle of detergent into the house. My wife looked at it, then looked at me, then looked back at the bottle. I told her. She shook her head. My friends, I laughed. I honestly thought she was joking. She wasn't, and before this video is over, I'm going to show you the exact recipe she used to replace every bottle of detergent we bought. 3 ingredients, 1 bucket, about 20 minutes of work, and one mistake that causes most people to try homemade laundry soap once and never make it again. Stay with me for that part, because if nobody tells you the mistake, you'll blame the recipe when the water was the real problem all along. Now here's the thing that bothered me after that conversation. I started paying attention, and once you start paying attention, certain things become difficult to ignore. For example, when most people pull clothes out of the washing machine, they don't actually check whether the clothes are clean. They smell them. Think about that. Nobody takes a shirt out of the dryer and runs tests on it. Nobody examines it under a microscope. Nobody studies the fabric. They smell it. My friends, that's not cleaning. For years, companies have trained people to associate fragrance with cleanliness. The smell became the proof, not the result. The smell. At the time, I thought he was talking about cologne. Turns out he was talking about half the products in America, because the fragrance isn't cleaning your clothes. The dye isn't cleaning your clothes. The bottle isn't cleaning your clothes. The label isn't cleaning your clothes. The television commercial isn't cleaning your clothes. A surprisingly small amount of ingredients is doing almost all the work. And once I understood that, I started asking different questions. Questions like, what exactly am I paying for? And that's when I discovered the yellow box. Now, my friends, you've probably seen it. Most people walk past it every week. Bottom shelf. Bright yellow box, nothing flashy. No celebrity endorsements. No dramatic promises. No commercials showing smiling families running through flower fields. Just a plain yellow box quietly sitting there while people spend 5 times more money on products with prettier labels. The first time my wife pointed it out to me, I almost ignored it because it looked boring. And that is exactly the problem. Modern people trust expensive things. Older Amish families trusted useful things. Those are not always the same. The yellow box was washing soda, not baking soda, washing soda, and it turns out that little yellow box is doing much of the same work hidden inside expensive detergents. The difference is nobody spent millions convincing you it belonged in a designer bottle. My wife brought home washing soda, borax, and a simple bar of soap. That was it. 3 ingredients. My friends, I was wrong, completely wrong, because a few days later the clothes came out clean. The work clothes came out clean. The bed sheets came out clean. The towels came out clean. The children's clothes came out clean. And the detergent bottle sat untouched. That bothered me more than I expected, because if this worked, what exactly had I been paying? For all those years, that's when my wife finally showed me the recipe. 1 cup of washing soda, 1 cup of borax, 1 grated bar of plain Castile soap. That's it. First she grated the soap, the whole bar. Looked like somebody had attacked it with a cheese grater. Then she melted the soap slowly into 4 cups of hot water. Nothing fancy, just enough heat to dissolve it. After that she filled a 5-gallon bucket halfway with hot water. The melted soap went into the bucket, then the washing soda, then the borax. Everything got stirred together. Then the bucket was filled the rest of the way with water. Let on. Leave it overnight. The next morning the entire bucket had thickened into a gel gel, not liquid detergent, not powder. A thick cleaning gel. My friends, that's when I realized I had been thinking about laundry all wrong. Because the recipe wasn't the impressive part. The impressive part was how little it actually took. 3 ingredients, 1 bucket, months of laundry. And if the story ended there, everyone would succeed. But it doesn't. Because this is where most people fail. Not because of the recipe, because of the water. And that brings us to the one thing nobody explained to me when I started. The problem isn't the recipe. The problem is the water. And my friends, if nobody explains this part to you, you'll make 1 batch of homemade laundry soap. Use it for 2 weeks and tell everybody it doesn't work. Not because the soap failed, because the water did. You see, most people think water is water. My wife taught me that isn't true. Some water is soft. Some water is hard. And if you've ever seen white crust around a faucet, cloudy spots on dishes, or buildup on a shower head, you've already met hard water. Those white minerals don't just sit on your fixtures. They're in your washing machine too. They're in every load of laundry. And those minerals love causing trouble. They grab onto soap. They grab onto fabric. They grab onto dirt. Then they create a mess that makes perfectly good soap look bad. That is why so many people try homemade laundry soap once and quit. Nobody explained the second villain. The first villain was paying $25 for mostly water. The second villain is hard water. And my wife solved it with something that costs less than a cup of coffee. Vinegar, plain white vinegar. Not the fancy kind. Not the expensive kind. Just ordinary white vinegar. My friends, when she first told me to pour vinegar into the rinse cycle, I thought she had finally gone too far. Laundry soap I could understand. Vinegar in the washing machine sounded like a prank. She laughed. Turns out she was right. The vinegar smell disappears completely. What remains is cleaner fabric, softer towels, less buildup, and a washing machine that stays cleaner over time. That little half cup of vinegar is the difference between success and failure for many people. That's why I told you at the beginning to stay with me. The recipe isn't the secret. The rinse cycle is. My friends, that's a lesson that applies to more than laundry. Most people see the result. Very few people understand the system creating the result. The recipe gets the attention. The rinse cycle gets the results. That's how life works more often than we'd like to admit. Now, something else surprised me. The longer we used homemade laundry soap, the cleaner the washing machine became. That sounds backwards. Most people assume expensive products must be better. Otherwise, why would they cost more? But expensive and effective are not the same thing. A horse costs more than a shovel. That doesn't make it better at digging holes. Over time, we notice less residue, less buildup, less strange odor inside the machine.
Everything simply stayed cleaner.
And that made me curious. So I started reading labels. My friends, if you've never done that, I encourage you to try it. Not just with detergent, with everything. Turn the bottle around. Read what's actually inside. Because once you start doing that, something interesting happens. You stop buying products. You start buying ingredients. And ingredients tell a very different story. That $25 bottle suddenly looks less impressive when you realize most of it is water. The marketing looks different. The labels look different. The promises look different. And you begin noticing something. Many companies are not selling ingredients. They're selling convenience. Now, don't misunderstand me. Convenience is value. I'm not against convenience. I'm talking to you through a machine that would have looked like science fiction to my grandfather. Convenience isn't the enemy. Blind dependence is. There's a difference. My wife didn't stop buying detergent because she hated modern products. She stopped buying it because she understood what it was. Understanding changes everything. A person who understands can choose. A person who doesn't understand can only buy, and buying becomes expensive. One thing I noticed after marrying into an Amish family is that people there ask different questions. That's a powerful question, because the moment you ask what something actually does, the label becomes less important. The packaging becomes less important. The commercial becomes less important. The celebrity endorsement becomes less important. The function becomes everything. And function is where the money hides. My father-in-law was famous for this. Simple question, powerful habit. And it saved him a fortune, because understanding function protects you from marketing. The detergent bottle teaches exactly the same lesson. What What does it do? Clean clothes. That's the function. Once you know the function, you can ask another question. What's the simplest way to accomplish that function? That question led my wife to washing soda, borax, soap, vinegar, and one bucket. That's it. No perfumes, no dyes, no mountain breeze, no ocean rain, no spring meadow, just clean clothes. My friends, the older I get, the more I think simplicity is one of the most underrated forms of wisdom. Complicated things impress people. Simple things survive. Complicated systems break. Simple systems keep working. The Amish understand that. That is why so many old solutions still exist, not because they're old, because they work. And because they work, people keep using them. The detergent industry spent decades teaching people to trust bottles. My wife taught me to trust ingredients. And once I understood the difference, I couldn't look at that laundry aisle the same way again. Every bottle started looking different. Every label started sounding different. Every promise started feeling different, because now I knew what was actually inside. My friends, that is the danger of understanding something. You lose the ability to be fooled by it, and that's exactly what happened to me. Today, when I walk through the laundry aisle, I don't see cleaning products. I see choices. One choice costs $25. Another costs a fraction of that. One choice depends on a company. The other depends on understanding. And understanding tends to get cheaper over time. That's why this video is never really about laundry soap. The laundry soap is just the vehicle. The real lesson is bigger. Look past the label. Look past the marketing. Look past the story being sold. Ask what the thing actually does. Then ask if there is a simpler way. That one habit has saved my family far more money than homemade detergent ever did, because once you learn it, you start applying it everywhere. Food, tools, cleaning products, household supplies, even life itself. My friends, next time you're standing in the laundry aisle, I want you to pick up that detergent bottle. Look at the price. Feel the weight. Then remember this conversation. You may not like the answer, but you'll never forget it. And if you decide to try the recipe, remember what I told you. The recipe matters, but the rinse cycle matters too. Don't skip the vinegar. Now I'm curious. What do you pay for laundry detergent where you live? $20? $25? $30? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever made your own laundry soap, tell me how it went. Because some of the best ideas don't come from experts. They come from ordinary people willing to ask one more question than everybody else. And sometimes that question begins with a $25 bottle of blue water.